Good evening and welcome to Have I Got News for You at the end of National TV Turn-Off Week. And to those viewers taking part in that, congratulations on your willpower. In the news this week, to cement the special relationship, Bill Clinton takes Tony Blair for a walk around the White House garden. There's evidence that dangerous aliens have been passing messages to their agents on Earth. And in Russia, rare home movie footage is discovered of Boris Yeltsin's christening. On Ian Hislop's team is a woman who left the BBC because it was full of middle-class patronising men, but bless her, she managed to park her car outside the studio so she can be with us tonight. Janet Street Porter. And with Paul Merton tonight is a Daily Telegraph journalist who last year took a month off to spend some time on his own. He stood as a Conservative candidate in Wales, Boris Johnson. Round one is where we're mathematically obliged to begin. Ian and Janet.
It's a bus?
Oh, I know.
There's a nuclear
waste,
thing,
nuclear
yeah.
waste.
That looks like Dune Ray.
Oh, Tony Blair, faith healing.
Oh, he's still going on. He's taken a whole load of nuclear waste and dumped it in Scotland because nobody else wants it.
And it's not going to hurt us anyway, it's a long way away from us, isn't it?
What, Scotland?
Or Georgia.
I think they're taking it from Georgia to Scotland.
Yeah,
so
I know.
it gets a bit nearer.
Yeah, but not that near.
We apologise to our Scottish viewers.
And how did it get over here?
By bus. The Georgians said it's too dangerous to have here, lunatics might turn it into a weapon, we'll put it on a bus and it'll get to Dune Ray.
Dune Ray is famous for something else that happened in the 50s. Were you aware of this? They were going to build a reactor and let it gradually run out of control.
Oh, kind of rehearsal for Doomsday.
It's spooky that Dune Ray and Doomsday rhyme.
Yeah, I inadvertently did that. Can't we have can't the nuclear waste go to the dome instead?
Well, that's very near your house, isn't it?
Yeah, but I could probably move up to Scotland and build another.
Fair enough, which is where we came in, I think. This is the nuclear material that Britain is to receive from Georgia. There were fears that unless this uranium was brought to the West, it might be seized by agents working for Saddam Hussein. But now Britain can be confident that Iraq won't get their hands on any weapons of mass destruction without paying us a fair price first. Paul and Boris.
Children in the classroom, children doing homework. This is,
No one knows who he is, he's a Conservative.
He is the Conservative.
without
I know
choice,
exactly. He is the Conservative spokesman for education.
Oh, I always forget Boris is the last Conservative on earth.
I am
dying breed.
continuity wing.
the continuity wing.
Continuity wing of the Conservative Party. That's right. Yeah,
So
that's
next
what-
on
that's
BBC
what-
Two, that sort of
that's
thing.
I suppose I'm batting for an ideology that's been burgled by someone else. I suppose that's what I'm doing fundamentally.
I think we're all with you, Boris.
I have a sense of overwhelming support. That's what,
So is it 4-year-olds have to do 20 minutes of homework a night?
That's part of it, yeah. Yeah.
And 20-year-olds have to do 4 minutes of homework a night?
Yeah, it just switches around, yeah.
on the subject of education, Angus, if I may call you Angus, since you bring up the subject of education, I noticed you loitering in my daughter's playground. The day before yesterday morning. Now my daughter's only 4. I don't know quite what motive you might have had in being there, but I invite you to come clean. What was your purpose actually in?
Does your daughter go to a school in Islington by any chance?
She does.
Yes, I had a feeling she might do. I was filming a documentary,
I see.
and that's
Well,
the
I see.
About
fastest
Boris?
excuse I can come up with.
I'm surprised Boris lives in Islington.
Well,
Not your kind of place,
No,
really,
of
Boris,
course
is
it
it?
is.
Tony Blair down the road.
he's moved away, unfortunately. It was great. He's moved to Downing Street, you may have noticed.
Not as much as you've noticed.
So what was the subject of your documentary?
Oh, I forget now. Seems so long ago. It's about temptation.
George Michael's got nothing on you, has he?
I do promise it was just a documentary. I have the footage to prove it. Teacher spokesman... probably could have chosen a different expression, but... teacher spokesman Peter Smith said of the government's initiative, the danger is that it smacks of Big Brother, which for any English A-level students watching is a character from a book by a man called George Orwell. Ian and Janet.
Glenn Hoddle, faith healing, crystal ball. That's me on holiday. I don't know what that's got to do with it. Oh, hang on, Uri Geller. This is obviously all about the fact that England's bid for the World Cup can't be just based on footballing skills. Glenn Hoddle's got to bring in this woman that used to run a pub called Eileen, and he dated her daughter Michelle many, many moons ago, and ever since then he's believed in Eileen's powers as a faith healer.
What does she do?
I think she does that thing I had done to me once, where you kind of stand there and they do that aura cleansing and they go round you like that and you're supposed to feel a hell of a lot better, but actually...
I don't.
Anyway, that's one little problem for England. Any other bloody football team would have sports psychologists and top physiotherapists, but no, we've got Eileen, an ex-barmaid, going around you like that and hoping you're going to score a goal.
There's nothing here about the ticket scandal, France selling the tickets. Well, I phoned up at 8 o'clock in the morning, got through, got me tickets, but I left my phone off the hook.
Did you see that there was in the papers a few weeks ago? There's this fantastic picture of an evening class where they're teaching soccer fans useful French for the World Cup.
What does that include?
Well, a lot of I can't repeat it obviously on television.
Otherwise, it would be a good anecdote.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry about it. Oh, there's no need to be unpleasant to me, Paul.
Is there? Oh, OK, I won't then.
Yes, you are absolutely right. Well done. It is Glenn Hoddle's faith healer, Eileen Drury, practices her craft without actually using any force or physical contact, a technique also employed by Gareth Southgate to take penalties. Uri Geller, who is employed as a consultant to Reading Football Club, also claims to have sneaked into the stadium where England will play their first match and planted crystals of positive energy. And Reading's current position in the First Division. And finally, Paul and Boris.
There are some penguins at the Antarctic packet.
This relates to
that's the bastard that sunk the Titanic.
Yeah. It's bad weather. It's something about the items that relates to bad weather. It's a piece of cake. It's to do with the problems of weather. And
Good.
Yeah.
the gist of it is there's a large chunk of ice missing from the tip of Antarctic, and this is.
And it's in Dennis Thatcher's gin and tonic.
Yes, and what's it called? This.
It's Larsen. It's the Larsen ice shelf.
Larsen B, I think it is.
Larsen B, that's right. And how big is it?
One of the spice icebergs.
What country was that the bit was chipping off then, Boris?
Antarctica.
Antarctica, apparently.
So good they named it twice.
But I thought it was El Nino.
No, it is caused by El Nino.
All right.
Yeah.
Because everything's blamed by El Nino now, isn't it?
It is.
Good
Blamed
weather,
by.
bad weather.
Yeah.
Blamed on it as well.
All right, Boris, there's no need to correct my grammar.
No, I'm sorry.
It's right.
3.5 hours.
I thought perhaps you meant something else. El Nino was blaming everything. And what
No,
was
I
El
was
Nino
just
blaming? You said
bumbling for
everything
the-
is blamed by El Nino. I thought that was what El Nino was blaming.
Yes.
Anyway,
Calm down.
now I've got
All
it.
right, calm down. Boris, I made a simple grammatical error.
Yes, according to the PA Weather Centre, this was due to a surge of warm air. They earn their
So
money.
the Russians are involved. A surge of one.
Sorry, it's Sergei is a French. Is a
Oh, it's all right, Boris. Let it go.
to correct him. Serge is a French name.
In the end, it won't be.
It's the French who are involved, not the Russians.
Don't pick on your own side, Boris.
Yes, but that's surge with an E, though, isn't it? Not with a U. Sorry, I'm joining in now. So at the end of that round, both teams have effectively sunk a brown one, in snooker terms, of course, scoring 4 points each. Round two has always been known as our tabloid headline round for reasons that would require too brief an explanation. Ian and Janet, Crybaby Britain.
This is because the professor wrote the book, which everybody just picked out the bit about Princess Diana from, saying we're turning into a nation of wets.
Professor O'Hare, he wrote, an essay in this book of essays. He wrote a piece about Diana saying everyone had, in a sense, lost control of their rational faculties and directed this sentiment towards a not terribly worthy cause. And it was quite an intellectual argument, and the Mirror responded by saying he's a rat-faced little loser.
And of course, Tony Blair smelt a headline and immediately leapt to her defence.
Yes, Tony said, hey, I'm an emotional person.
We're all insulted ourselves.
Apart from Di, he attacked politicians for giving up on real politics in favour of gesture politics.
Yep.
Which Blair refuted in his speech about Deirdre's release from prison on Coronation Day. Friends of Di described the book as prejudiced nonsense, or as the Sun helpfully put it, Friends of Di killed in a Paris car smash described the book as prejudiced nonsense. Oh, that Di. Paul and Boris, your cryptic tease, Reservoir Jogs.
Ah, this is the man who's invented a invention. He's devised a thing a pump that goes into the sole and the heels of trainers, because trainers, if you wear them for a long time, can be rather nasty smell. And he's invented this little thing which pumps deodorant, very small amounts of deodorant, constantly into the shoe to stop it making a terrible smell.
A perfect answer,
yeah.
Thank you very much. And who's he?
Absolute silence, doesn't matter.
Yes.
Oh, is this about the parrot that's on a trampoline in Norway? Thank you.
Why hasn't he invented it for men who appear on television in those suits and then they start sweating? Have you ever seen that phenomena? No, you don't use something from it. No. But I've presented TV shows with sweaty men. And
haven't we all?
They have this very unattractive stain, the little black mark that appears here, and then as the programme goes on, it gets bigger and bigger.
You get these other sort of things where they're called air soles.
Yeah.
I think it's air soles, isn't it? Or is that the people that wear them? You get and you pump them up.
Why does everybody wear trainers nowadays anyway?
Because they're very comfortable.
Yeah.
And they have a reservoir in them.
Okay, fair enough.
And the water companies have given up on
I just wondered, because I went to this school for delinquent children, where...
In your barrack?
You went to Eton, Boris. There's no way
As he says, he went to a school for delinquent children.
I asked the headmistress, do they polish their shoes nowadays? And she laughed at me and said, no, people don't polish their shoes anymore. But anyway, I just thought it was worth pointing out.
It was?
Yes.
Yeah. No,
but maybe not now.
Yes, it is the invention of a special new sweet-smelling trainer by designer Peter Chown, after he noticed his grandson's foot odour. All he does is squirt a small amount of deodorising solution.
I said all this. What's this, for the public record or something?
He's reading it out in a grammatically correct fashion.
Yes.
Boris has approved this text.
Oh, I see, OK.
Just in case people...
So how do these shoes actually work then,
Well, I'll tell you. Well, you see, the inventor, Peter Chown, who is...
Peter Chown, really?
Yes, he lives in Lincolnshire.
Lincolnshire?
He came up a moment ago. He was the man with the parrot.
It's tricky to follow the plot on this show, I know, but do try. Mr. Chown has designed things as diverse as the black box used on aircraft and domestic pan scourers. His inventing career began when he had the idea of attaching a toughened pad of wire wool to one side of a piece of foam, but that didn't seem to record any flight information, so he had to... which distasteful remarks mean at the end of this leg that both teams are still kicking their heels, neither progressing further than 6.
Very good.
Round 3 is our odd one out, a game for all the family, especially if you're under 4. Paul, Donald Dewar, Stephen Bailey, Ian Paisley, and Leonardo DiCaprio.
One chap seems to be picking his nose.
And so he's the odd one out.
That's the person who was sitting in your seat last week, in fact, Boris.
Oh, right. I see.
So I wouldn't touch underneath it.
Leonardo, Leo? He hasn't opened us. He had no. I've turned into Eddie Izzard. I wish I had his money.
And his frocks.
Is Ian Paisley the only man who's stalked by a maniac who gets hold of hedgehogs, rubs them up in feathers, sticks them on sticks, and then goes and follows him everywhere he goes? Yeah, look at that. Look what you made me do.
It's about something that they don't do.
They don't do. Ian Paisley doesn't... Is it something to do with alcohol?
No, but...
Or going to the pictures?
Yes.
Ah, Ian Paisley thinks that pictures, going to the cinema is sinful, so he doesn't go to the cinema. Donald Dewar doesn't go to the cinema. Stephen Bailey famously, I'm too posh for all that. And Leo is in films, so he's the odd one out.
Is the right answer?
Yes. There you go.
Boris, your glamorous showbiz chums are Sean Connery, Bob Hope, Rupert Murdoch,
Yep.
and Jimmy
Now,
Savile.
this is about, it could be about knighthoods.
Knighthoods, yeah.
Yep, because Sean Connery was offered a knighthood.
No, he wasn't.
Anyway, we're not on it. Jimmy Savile
That's got a knighthood.
has got a knighthood.
Right.
So's Bob
And
Hope.
so's Bob Hope.
Bob Hope's got a knighthood.
Okay, so the point is that it's Murdoch, on the grounds that he hasn't yet got a knighthood.
But he has. Murdoch's got a papal knighthood. The
So-
Pope has decorated Murdoch for his long
Right.
commitment to the family.
Did he use the same-
To bring it up.
Okay, in that case...
It's Sean Connery.
Sean.
It is, in fact, that they've all been made papal knights with the exception of Sean Connery. So you got the right person and you got the right reason, so you can have 1 point each. And
Oh,
now
how
shut
lovely.
up.
Thank
That's
you.
right, it should be.
They've all been made papal knights. Bob Hope. I
Too
think.
late to say that.
Yes.
But only just too late. Too late by about that much.
I see, sorry.
Sean Connery was recently rejected for a British knighthood because of his alleged attitude to violence against women. He once said, "I don't think there is anything particularly wrong in hitting a woman, although I don't recommend doing it in the same way that you'd hit a man. An open-handed slap is justified if all other alternatives fail, and there's been plenty of warning." Janet, good point, well made.
But you better not try hitting me. I'll pack a mean punch.
You know you're talking to James Bond.
I thought you packed a mean lunch.
Janet, your even more familiar faces are yourself, William Hague, Cecil Parkinson, and Christine Hamilton.
There I am in my Wonder Woman outfit.
Was that a good party?
I had 7-inch platform soles on, and the only thing I attracted all night was Paul McKenna in the kind of crotch area, because all the men were very, very tiny. And so I digress. Right, okay. The odd one out. Well, it's quite hard because initially I thought the odd one out was William Hague because he is the least famous person of these four. Now, well, Christine Hamilton and I are obviously both battle axes.
No.
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 Sorry.
No, she isn't
Too
one
late.
at all.
It is to do with the difference between you and Cecil earlier in your
Chromosomes.
life.
Earlier in my life.
It's something that you did...
Well, I haven't got my secretary pregnant and then not married her.
well, I'll take your word
No,
for
that
it.
would have made the headlines.
It's a political question.
Oh, I was in the Young Conservatives quiz team when I was at school.
And Cecil Parkinson wasn't.
And he was in the Young Socialists. Is that correct, Tom?
Therefore, good, yes.
Therefore,
William Hague, what do we think he might have been in?
the Young... So the odd one out, Cecil Parkinson.
Is the right answer.
I was in the Young Conservatives quiz team because they had pretty good prizes, but after about 2 months later I switched to the Young Socialist quiz team because they had wine and cheese evenings and the blokes were sexier.
Janet recently, in fact, described how her appearance in those days gave her her first showbiz break. "I wore bizarre clothes, sooty black false eyelashes, white makeup and dyed pink hair. I was spotted in this garb and given a part in a film, presumably the Ronald McDonald story." Soon after...
I think she looked great.
You think she looked great?
Well, I think everybody's been a bit unfair. Well, come on, rally around someone. Yeah, I thought...
Boris, I think you're very chivalrous, but sadly I can defend myself, you know.
Yes.
You're not going to win with that one over there.
Soon after leaving the Young Conservatives, William Hague began writing speeches for Geoffrey Howe. Their speech-writing sessions would often stretch late into the night, when one of them would jerk awake and suggest they go home.
It's an unfortunate phrase, but
Thank you.
I don't believe this can go on the television.
no, it doesn't.
This doesn't go on the television.
This doesn't go on the television. It goes out on the radio.
Yeah. Ian, your four-way split comprises Monica Lewinsky, Tiny Rowland, Camilla Parker Bowles, and Linda Tripp.
I think this is a tape question about being taped. Monica Lewinsky was taped by Linda Tripp. She pretended to be her friend and said, "Tell us about the president. What did you get up to?" And Monica did. Camilla Parker Bowles was taped talking to Charles, the Prince of Wales. Tiny Rowland was taped talking to Al Fayed by Fayed, in which Fayed talked about the size of his genitals. So they were all taped except Linda Tripp, who did the taping. Is a perfect answer. Well done. I'm surprised you gave me this one.
Why?
Because Boris was caught on tape as well.
Ha ha ha! Richly comic. Yes, yes.
Sorry, what was that?
I said, no, good point.
Yeah. He said, "Ha ha ha, richly comic," which it jolly well was.
What were you recorded saying?
Honestly, I don't remember.
I do. Boris was on tape talking to Darius Guppy, his...
A very great man. I don't want to be totally stitched up here.
What you want and what you don't want.
No, he was a school friend, wasn't he?
A great chap, yeah.
And a great chap,
Yeah.
despite being a convicted fraudster.
Convicted fraud, went very, very sadly wrong.
Yeah.
Major goof.
And one of the ways he went wrong is ringing you up on tape and suggesting that you help him beat up a journalist who was looking into him.
That did come up. I won't deny that did come up. I don't think I've ever commented on this before, so I'd better watch my words very carefully. That did come up. That did come up. It's perfectly true that Darius and I had a long and rambling conversation which took in many military heroes that Darius admired. Rommel.
Hence Major Goof that you mentioned just now.
And since you choose to bring up this unhappy episode, I won't deny a word of it. I'm not ashamed of it. I did discuss how...
You sound like George Michael. You're not ashamed of it.
What are you not ashamed of, though, Boris?
Whatever there is not to be ashamed of. No, that's...
He was trying to get the address of this journalist out of you, wasn't he?
Yes, and owing to my great incompetence as a journalist, I wasn't able to provide it.
So the journalist didn't get beaten up in the end, but no thanks to you.
I suppose you could say it was thanks to me that he didn't get beaten up.
Because you didn't do what you told your mate you'd do.
Well, that seems to be perfectly reasonable.
I suppose
That's perfectly reasonable.
Yeah,
Didn't you go to university with him?
I did. He was at my college.
Well, what are you talking about then?
I wasn't a friend of his.
I'm sorry, I never made his acquaintance, don't you know? Oh, how posh. More tea, Vicar.
That's a lovely impression you have of university.
That's you. That's you. No, I went to Oxford, don't you know? They walk through the quadrangle with our mortarboards on.
So where's the Darius now, then?
Darry.
Sorry, where's
Barry!
Where does he live now?
I don't know where he is now.
I thought he lives in Althorpe House, doesn't he?
Look, I don't know, you better ring him up. I'm way out of my depth here. I've been totally stitched up. I want it on the record. I walked straight into a massive elephant trap. I should have spotted it. This man, you mustn't think of your... This man Hislop is quoting verbatim a conversation I had on the phone sort of 10 years ago.
Yeah, because it's a terribly funny transcript, which I have a copy of. And I reprint in my magazine whenever humanly possible. Usually when you've made some right-wing speech about law and order, and I try and remind you that you were involved in a conspiracy.
Hit him.
Well, you should have done. You're a Tory candidate.
Hit him.
I might do. Well, I might. Anyway,
please don't
no
send
harm
boys
came
round.
of it. There's all's well that ends well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And,
That's my view.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
You're
Right.
okay.
I'm sticking to it.
It had a
Jonas was
happy
all right,
ending.
and
Yeah.
Darius ended up in prison. Did Darius pronounce it Brixton prison?
I think he was at Ford.
No, he started off at Brixton,
Did he?
I
Sorry.
believe. I did a documentary about it.
Oh, is that really? You did a documentary about it? Did you? Well, you seem jolly well briefed on the whole thing.
Yes. The answer is that they've all had their
Nightmare.
private telephone conversations.
Let's go home.
recorded.
Let's just have nothing to do.
Pack it in.
Yeah, we don't care.
Which phony exchanges mean it's no longer good to talk, as at the end of the day, Paul and Boris are on the receiving end, trading as they do 11-9. And so to the weekly relief of our final Missing Words round, featuring this week's guest publication, the never less than interesting Rambling Today.
My People's Magazine.
Do you get a free one then, being...
No, I subscribe. Thank you. Write the occasional article for it.
Do they have rambling articles? You know, like the thing is, well, I mean, how would you put it?
Get to the point.
So let's plough on with flooding is caused by what?
Lots of water.
Water. Rain, abundant rain.
Yeah.
Lots. Actually, I do know the answer to this because it was in the papers. It's not. It's not water. The answer is
way
not.
to research.
The answer is not water.
Oh,
It's
let me-
in fact houses.
Poor planning is how they put it. Next, children are not what, say teachers.
Allowed to talk to Angus Deaton.
On the contrary, I talked to many
Yeah.
of them.
I know.
Fashion accessories is the answer. This is according to David Blunkett. Next, Astra chimps in what?
White wine sauce.
It is in fact custody row. And finally, what is a mountain?
Ben Nevis.
Same time.
Incredible.
Is it right?
No.
Oh.
Well, it is.
Janet.
Rambling.
Janet is not a mountain, no.
The tall, thin one.
The answer is in fact what is a mountain? All of which dissent means the end of tonight's aimless tramp, and after the final assault, this week's dull plodders appear to be Paul and Boris with 12, whilst this week's rambling roses are Ian and Janet with 13. And I leave you with news that in the West End, business is brisk at London's first Korean takeaway. Organisers admit that it may have been a mistake to arrange a 9 a.m. start for the legalised cannabis rally. And Robert Robinson concedes that he may have had one facelift too many. Good night.
Manchester band James and jazz soul legend George Benson joined Jules Holland